Yo, what the fuck is going down, everybody? It's your boy, Sauceman X, checking back at you niggas with another goddamn video today. But anyways, man, we're back with another political video with this goddamn bitch. And you already see this shit by the title. So this video is obviously going to be about politics. And we already know that in this fucking video, we're going to be talking a little bit more about voter fraud, okay? We already know voter fraud, election fraud. So in this video, basically, we already know that yesterday there's been news going on with Michigan. Essentially, Michigan committing voter fraud. Well, not voter fraud, but breaking the fucking law and illegally sending out applications, which we already know without authorization. So we already know they basically broke the fucking law in attempts to go down the road. He literally attempts to go down the road of voter ID fraud, fucking election fraud to try to overturn this election, which we already know plenty of other states or maybe a few other states are actually trying to fucking implement. So in this video, I'm basically going to be explaining why it's illegal. We already know that Donald Trump, okay, essentially said that he's going to cut funding from Michigan to, protect democracy, you know what I'm saying, and not implement mail-in voting. And I'm also going to explain why mail-in voting itself, okay, literally mail-in voting itself, okay, should be fucking illegal, okay? The entire concept of mail-in voting and having it apply to every single American and completely get rid of, in-person voting, which is how most people, if not everyone, should vote. We already know that, I'm going to explain why that's fucking, mail-in voting in general should be illegal and all the crazy shit that's going on. So we already know, okay? We already fucking know that I believe yesterday, it's already been big in the goddamn news. We already know it's obviously even bigger today. The biggest news going on today is that the state of Michigan, okay, literally the state of Michigan, I believe was the governor or the secretary of state of Michigan, or I don't know exactly who, okay, but the state of Michigan, okay, they essentially, they basically sent out 7.7 million, okay? They literally over the fucking night, they essentially sent 7.7 million voter ID applications, okay? Voter, what was it called? Voter ballot applications or some shit like that. Basically, an application you signed, to make, to vote in the general election, So, and they basically, potentially to do mail-in voting or not show up in person or show up on time to actually vote. So it's literally called an absentee, voter, ballot election or some shit like ballot fucking application or some shit like that. So we already know, okay, is that the people of Michigan, okay, of the entire state of Michigan essentially broke the law, okay, and then I'm gonna prove why they broke the law. We already know they broke the fucking law and they essentially sent 7.7 million applications, okay, they literally sent 7.7 million applications to people in Michigan for absolutely no goddamn reason, and we already know that this is essentially illegal. So we already know, okay, we already know, I don't know exactly who it was, within the state of Michigan, but apparently a lot of people are trying to justify this entire thing, literally sending 7.7 million, illegal applications, which my first fucking point in the video is that this literally is illegal. So regardless of how Donald Trump responds, he's literally on the right side, okay? He's literally on this, on the side of, being, supporting democracy, going against, things that are going on that's illegal, which we already know this is literally what Michigan is. So according to the law, okay, according to the law, so there's like a lot of ballots, a lot of fucking ballot applications coming out. We already know that there is no reason for you to send 7.7 million, and we already know that even if it was legal, okay, even if this entire thing was legal, we already know that, they would have still, they're still, wanting to go down the path of the mail-in voting, because apparently it's already been confirmed that the Secretary of State of Michigan literally said that, by the time it hits the general election, people won't be able to vote in person due to this coronavirus pandemic. They said some shit like that, so we already know that they're trying to go down the path of voter fraud. But according to the law, okay, and that's one of the biggest fucking points, okay, regardless of what people try to say to justify this entire thing, according to the law, okay, it is illegal, okay, it is illegal to send, or receive, these fucking applications, these ballot applications, these voter ID ballot applications, or whatever the fuck it's called, absentee ballot applications. It is illegal to send or receive any of these kinds of fucking, kinds of applications without, an initial request, okay? So if someone requests these fucking applications, then they can legally receive one, but you cannot just randomly send it out to people who did not request it. So the vast majority of people who are receiving these applications did not even request it to begin with. And in order, if you want to do it without, people who requested it, you just want to do a mass fucking, sending out all of these applications, you have to have approval of the Secretary of State. And it's already been confirmed, okay, that the Secretary of State of, Michigan, essentially, these people, they didn't even confirm it with anyone, okay? They literally did not even, there was no approval from the Secretary of State, so they just did it out of nowhere abruptly, which is breaking the law. So these people literally broke the fucking law in attempts. As already said, the Secretary of State and people have already admitted, who work, in Detroit's government, not Detroit, but Michigan's government, they essentially already admitted that they want, they don't want people to go out and vote in person, and they want to implement mail-in voting. So this is basically a stepping stone used by the entire state of Michigan to try to use that to actually, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, to try to, you know what I'm saying, corrupt the election and try to get illegals to vote. So we already know this is essentially illegal, okay? This is literally essentially fucking illegal, and apparently, you know what I'm saying, right now in Michigan, there's a lot of floods going on. There's a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people are losing their fucking homes, and people are trying to use this as, you know, like Detroit, since apparently a few days ago or yesterday, because there's lots of floods, and there's thousands of more people that might lose their fucking homes because of these floods. A lot of people are trying to use this to justify this entire thing, like, oh, this is a state of emergency, so, you know what I'm saying, they're justified in doing all this. But it literally makes no fucking sense again, okay? This entire situation literally makes no fucking sense again, because if people's houses are being flooded and they're losing their homes, what's the reason of actually sending out 7.7 million, you know what I'm saying, of these kinds of applications to people who don't even need them? You know what I'm saying? They need them even less, since more and more thousands of people who are living in Michigan right now are losing their fucking homes. So it literally makes no fucking sense to send out these applications anyways. And we already know that Donald Trump, okay, and that's one of the main fucking points of the video, okay, is that Donald Trump has essentially, you know what I'm saying, said he's going to cut not sanctuary city funding. Well, Donald Trump has also been talking about cutting funding for sanctuary cities, but you know what I'm saying, that ties into the point that I was just going to talk about. Well, we already know that, you know what I'm saying, Donald Trump essentially cut funding, okay? He said he wants to cut funding from the entire state of Michigan because of this fucking shit. And a lot of people are criticizing Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, he made a fucking tweet. Apparently they think that just because Donald Trump tweets something, you know what I'm saying, that it's the end of the world, and people are saying that, oh, this is an impeachable offense because you're trying to do this thing. But there's nothing impeachable about this. There's nothing wrong with Donald Trump wanting to cut funding to the entire state of Michigan, because regardless of the situation that's going on in Michigan, you know what I'm saying, with all the flooding, we need to protect democracy, because we know democracy is the most important thing, you know what I'm saying, you know, especially in this upcoming election where a lot of people are saying they want to do mail-in voting. We already know that democracy should be, you know what I'm saying, prioritized over anything else, and Trump is on the right side of this entire thing. We already know regardless, Donald Trump is on the correct side, you know what I'm saying, this entire situation, because he's going against corruption. He's literally going against what the fucking Michigan is doing, which is essentially engaging in corruption and breaking the law, just like as I've just proven, you know what I'm saying, they essentially just broke the law. So Donald Trump says he wants to cut funding from them, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and that's what Donald Trump should do, okay? He should be cutting funding. As I said earlier, you know what I'm saying, with the sanctuary city thing, apparently he wanted to cut funding from sanctuary cities. Anything that the President Donald Trump can do, you know what I'm saying, to cut funding to help the coronavirus pandemic, or to cut funding to stop corruption and stop voter fraud, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, him wanting to cut funding for the entire, you know what I'm saying, the entire state of Michigan. And we already know that the people who go against them essentially are people that support this kind of corruption, support voter fraud, and, you know what I'm saying, to try to, you know, undermine democracy. So that's all Donald Trump is doing when he says he wants to cut funding. But a lot of people want to criticize him because, like, oh, you know what I'm saying, fucking Michigan is dealing with lots of floods, and completely cutting funding is a terrible thing to do. But we already know, okay, in my personal opinion, the fucking state of Michigan should be able to handle this entire flooding situation themselves. But if they need help from, you know what I'm saying, bigger branches of government, then, you know what I'm saying, then Donald Trump can help, you know what I'm saying, with the floods, but continue to cut funding in every other aspect. So there's nothing wrong with Donald Trump saying he wants to, you know what I'm saying, cut funding. But a lot of people are saying, literally criticizing him for it for absolutely no fucking reason. So we already know that it is essentially, you know what I'm saying, Detroit engaging in corruption. And there's plenty of other states that are trying to do this mail-in voting bullshit, which I've talked about. Apparently states like fucking Utah, states like California, they want to implement mail-in voting. We already know, but we should try to get as much states as possible to make it impossible for mail-in voting to be happening, which leads me on to my next point, is that mail-in voting in general should be fucking illegal. Okay, this entire concept of mail-in voting, this entire thing should be considered illegal, because we already know that mail-in voting has a high susceptibility to election fraud. We already know, I believe it's already been proven, you know what I'm saying, that people actually do some kind of mail-in voting, you know what I'm saying, or they receive, you know what I'm saying, an ability to vote for anyone, you know what I'm saying, through mail. Apparently, you know what I'm saying, they don't even ask for voter ID laws. They don't, you know what I'm saying, they don't ask, not as many of them ask for voter ID laws. They don't ask, you know what I'm saying, confirming that you're a U.S. citizen. So if you literally just receive it in the mail, okay, if you literally just receive an ability to vote through the mail and then just send it back, that's almost as bad and as unprotected as voting online, okay? And we already know that, you know what I'm saying, if we ever were to implement voting online, that would literally be fucking crazy, okay? That would literally be fucking crazy. It wouldn't be organized. It would be completely corrupted. And the exact same thing is happening with mail-in voting, because they're planning on getting rid of restrictions, okay? You literally would get rid of restrictions, and you wouldn't have the, you know what I'm saying, the legitimate ability to actually vote in person. There's nothing structured about it, okay? There's literally nothing structured about this entire mail-in voting process. There's nothing structured about this entire situation, because apparently there's been people who, you know what I'm saying, receive these mail-in voting opportunities, and essentially they don't even ask for, you know what I'm saying, ask for voter ID laws. They don't ask, you know what I'm saying, if you're a U.S. citizen, there's no legitimate way to actually prove, you know what I'm saying, that you are a legitimate citizen. You can literally just get the goddamn paper printed out, you know what I'm saying, and just add another fucking name on there, just add some more fucking votes, and it literally is not checked at all. There's no legitimate way, there's no legitimate technology to prove that, you know what I'm saying, that a fucking vote is legitimate. So we already know that mail-in voting should be considered illegal because it's easily going to be manipulated. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy for illegals to vote. There's no voter ID laws. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing structured about it, okay? There's nothing structured about the entire situation. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing structured. You have the fucking voter ID laws and actual in-person voting. We have technology to prove exactly who's who. You know what I'm saying? You have voter ID laws, you know what I'm saying, which basically proves who each individual voter is, you know what I'm saying? And you can confirm it, you know what I'm saying, through technology, through the actual voting booths. But you have it in fucking, you know, it's more structured and organized. But mail-in voting, it's not structured and organized at all. And the more that, you know what I'm saying, Democrats try to do this mail-in voting shit, the more they'll get rid of the restrictions, the more, and you know what I'm saying, the easier it is to corrupt the election. Because we already know that's literally what they're trying to do. So Donald Trump, as I said, should do everything in his power to stop this thing from happening, to stop these mail-in votings from happening. And he's going against corruption. He's going against what people are doing in Michigan that are essentially illegal. Okay, it's 7.7 million people getting an application without requesting it is literally fucking illegal, and there's nothing wrong with Donald Trump doing whatever it takes to protect democracy, you know what I'm saying? And mail-in voting should be fucking illegal because of the high susceptibility to voter fraud. So that's literally what they're trying to fucking do. Anyways, tell me what you get in the comment section. This is literally fucking corrupt. We need, you know what I'm saying, I can guarantee you, motherfuckers, by the time it hits November, there will be no fucking, you know what I'm saying, voting fraud, because the country is literally reopening up again, and you know what I'm saying, we literally have nothing to worry about, okay? We literally have nothing to worry about. So anyways, tell me what you think in the comment section. This shit, anyways, this country's reopening. Get your boy the Sauceman next. I'm checking the fucking out of your piece.